Bam. All right. So Fnatic on the left-hand side, LDLC on the right, and as you can see, they are currently map drafting. We're down to Blackheart's Bay or Cursed Hollow. Not really a surprise, and if this actually does go to Blackheart's Bay, I'm going to be tickled pink because it's just not a map we get to see often enough, at least in my humble little opinion. But yeah, this should be an LDLC pick, if I recall, because they did lose out game number 1. So I suspect we're going to go to Cursed Hollow, and it will be. So yeah, Fnatic saying no Blackheart's Bay, Dragonshire, or Garden of Terror, Haunted Mines, or Sky Temple. Who gets the first pick? It will be LDLC. So what did we see last round? We saw a Jaina ban, and we saw an Illidan ban. This is our first time Sergeant Hammer that we've gotten to see this patch, but fortunately that didn't work out for LDLC. So we'll have to see if they do intend to go with the Hammer strats. That, you know, Cursed Hollow, definitely a bit more of a favorable map, I want to say, for the Sergeant Hammer. There's no fighting over the temples. It's more about the tributes. And Cursed Hollow could definitely lead itself into some very big early game push strategies, especially with Zagaras, especially with Sergeant Hammers. That they were kind of the wombo back in the day. But I'm also hoping that the draft is here and that we can actually ban, because we're into the pool time for LDLC. They do have the first pick. Oh, all right. It is good to go. The guys at Heroes Draft have made themselves a pretty solid product since its release 3 weeks ago. So big kudos to them. And yeah, haven't actually seen any issues on stream for a while. So as I said, big props. Either way, Tyrande as a ban is, well, it's not really, I don't think she's really worth a ban. But Fnatic last round had just such a fantastic game that something has to give. So they're saying that it's all about the Tyrande. It's all about that stun, the heal, the starfall, the information control with those owls. And you especially don't want to deal with owls on a Cursed Hollow. Owls on a Cursed Hollow with that information game, not only can you do that, but you can interrupt people getting that tribute from afar. It can really play into their hands. So LDLC saying no dice. Fnatic, if I recall, banned out Jaina last round, so we'll have to see if that will return. They do not have first pick. So if it's not a Jaina, could be a first pick Illidan. If it's not an Illidan ban, could be a first pick Jaina. Which one will Fnatic want to play against? It's not going to be either. Wow, it's going to be the Vala. This is perhaps the first time I've actually seen a Vala ban. So because Fnatic has 2 slots here, and there's the first pick Illidan, are they just going to go straight DPS for these first 2 slots? Will be like the Jaina Zagara, will be the Jaina Falstead, the Tychus. Tychus actually lends itself a lot of credibility here because it is against an Illidan. And an Illidan, well, he has no way to stop an overkill, and he doesn't have any way to avoid an overkill, unless he wants to use that at the Metamorphosis, for example. So could Fnatic actually just go straight DPS here and leave LDLC kind of scratching their head looking for those range damage slots? Will be something else. Will Fnatic actually go for the healers here? There's the Jaina. Now, if you don't take a Tassadar or a Rhaegar, there it is. You cannot absolutely allow an LDLC to pick up those 2 heroes. So taking the Rhaegar away with the Jaina, I mean, Jaina is basically a huge glass cannon this patch. She can do the damage, and I like the with a capital T. In fact, the whole word is capitalized. It's just an entire uppercase word. The damage. Jaina can absolutely bring the pain. So LDLC with the first pick Illidan, they got to kind of craft around this a little bit, but they have a little bit of breathing room. They know that it's a Rhaegar and a Jaina. Jaina will not win against an Illidan, typically not. So we need a little bit now of control to go with this Illidan. Uther, very big on this. Diablo or ETC, there's the Uther. Diablo or ETC could definitely lend itself very nicely for that, getting that dive buddy, but it will actually be the Uther Tassadar. Not going to give Fnatic the chance to take away not only the Rhaegar, but the Tassadar as well. So we're going to be into a last round pick for the tanks. Last round, Fnatic actually put a tank in this slot when we came to the drafting. So what they could do here is say, which tank do we want to take against an Illidan to control this comp and have great stage presence? Well, it's probably going to be an ETC if I have to take a guess. ETC or a Diablo. You need to take one of those away from the pool for LDLC. And again, the stage dive gives you some great global presence, and it's a big map, Cursed Hollow. You can easily be split pushing a lane to stage dive in. You have slows, stuns, and more slows, actually, and some really great sustain overall. So with the Tyrande out and now the Tassadar Uther, there's the ETC. Goes extremely well with Fnatic. I wouldn't expect to see groupies here from the ETC, but Rhaegar needs somebody else to heal with. Is this where we're going to see a lot of global presence with the Brightwing? Are we going to see a bit more of a self-healer like the Sonya? I really doubt we're going to see a Rhaegar Lily. I don't think that really adds enough to it, but Lily can actually deal pretty well with an Illidan because of the Blinding Wind. The Blinding Wind can absolutely do havoc up against melee comps, and right now we got the Uther and the Illidan, but they're gonna kind of see where it goes. They got to get that back line. Not only do they have a Jaina, but now they got that Zagara there as well. So the back line is huge here from Fnatic. They got a great frontliner with the ETC, and they got the heals and the shields from the Rhaegar. LDLC, they could not take a Vala, Tyrande, Jaina, or Zagara. This lends a lot to either a Falstead or a Tychus. And in terms of a tank with an ETC out, I want to say you're going to either see a Chen or a Diablo. Those are the first two that come to mind. You could go for a little bit more of a lockup comp with the Muradin. But, I mean, it's kind of funny that we talk about all these big synergistic comps. There's no mention whatsoever of a Stitches. In fact, we had no Stitches last round. This is a very good map for the Stitches, but will he fit into this comp? I'm not entirely too sure he has the kit that we need to help out the Tassadar and the Uther. I mean, a hook into a stun from the Uther, and then the body blocks from the Odin sounds great on paper, but I'm not entirely too sure we're going to see a lot of roaming a little bit earlier on here either from LDLC. So if I have to guess, you know, it's going to be a Tychus or a Falstead and then a Chen or a Diablo. I mean, those are just the bigger picks that come to mind. Fnatic last round with the Vikings showed us some really good maneuvers there, but you can't really rely on the Vikings with that boat. I mean, it's just not consistent enough damage in these team fights. They're way too frail as individual units. Will we go double melee with a Zeratul looking for a Void Prison to set up? Doesn't really feel like that either. But instead of the Tychus, it looks like Nazeebo is actually going to be now on the field. And I'm not entirely too sure a Nazeebo pick into not only the ETC, but the Zagara as well. I mean, if you see a Ravenous going off, I mean, Zagara is very likely to throw a Maw at you. And if it's not going to be that, it could be a stage diving, face smelting, power sliding ETC. So I'm curious, and we have seen this patch Gargantuan. Will Nazeebo go for a Gargantuan to stay mobile in these fights? That's something I had not actually considered. And that's actually really fun to think about, now that I'm actually thinking about it. Well, we're down to the last few seconds here of the pool time, or the time pool, so to speak. LDLC needs a tank. So the Diablo, the Chen, the Muradin, the Arthas, the Anubarak. I'm still maintaining Diablo could go absolutely wonderfully here, but wow, it will be the Stitches. I'm not sure how I feel about that, to be honest. LDLC looked shaky in their game number one. Fnatic definitely had, wow, the Vikings. Oh my God, Shinobu is on a tear. All right, so we have a lot to talk about here. I'm just gonna make sure that we join the game before anything else happens. There we go, beautiful. And it will be Fnatic on Blue. Awesome, great. All right, back to the draft. I did not expect to see Vikings two games in a row. I did not expect to see Fnatic do that. I really actually did expect a second kind of healer from Fnatic, or a self-healing type. I mean, ETC can already do the self-heals. Zagara has rapid incubation, but that doesn't really count. So Fnatic is really putting a lot of trust here into the Rhaegar. It's the one healing ward, which is the healing totem at level 1. And from there, it's just, you really got to depend on the chain heals. Last round at level 13, Fnatic did have the chain heal. So extra tick, 25% more on the initial target. He can really rack up the healing numbers for sure with that Rhaegar. But Lost Vikings, Zagara, ETC. Will this be another kind of big collapse comp that we saw? Jaina could easily go into this with Ring of Frost. It's not out of the question. Very likely it will still be a water elemental. But water elemental, her slows, her chill, can lead very nicely into an ETC chase. Zagara damage with the Hydralisks, with her Envenom spikes. Or, no, Envenom spines, my mistake. And Vikings can just chase after them, at least with Eric, maybe with Balog as well. But the Viking boat we saw did absolutely wonderful work in the previous game. LDLC on the flip, they start off with the Illidan pick, went into Uther Tassadar. Phenomenal. But then they got a Nazeebo, and I'm a little afraid of the Nazeebo comp, or the Nazeebo pick. Will this be forced into a Gargantuan, or will they try out the Ravenous? If it is Ravenous, can Fnatic actually deal with it? ETC Zagara, well, the Vikings can't actually interrupt, but they can Viking boat the immobile Nazeebo. There's a lot of ways that to put up pressure to make sure that the Nazeebo doesn't get off that Ravenous. So I'm a little afraid of that. And the second is that we have a frontlining Stitches, who's not a dive buddy. He has great hooks. He has the Wretched Bile for the ETC, I guess. There's not exactly a huge amount of melee, and I'm not counting Olaf for this equation from Fnatic. So, I mean, will that be Gorge? We have not seen Gorge in a long time. Absolutely in a long time. It's just not happening a lot. So it's very likely then Bile. And the Bile and the Stitches in the front, I mean, he's not the tankiest of tanks. I would have much rather taken a Chen or a Diablo. And that's saying up against an ETC. I would probably still take the Chen, to be honest. So I'm a little afraid. I'm afraid that LDLC is not going to be able to do the things that they want to do this match. And the onus is on them. They have to make it work. This is their match point. If they don't win, they lose. Duh. But if they don't win, they drop 2-0, and that means Fnatic will be then selected to go on to the grand finals here April 11th and 12th. And they will be our 5th team to enter those grand finals, because not only do we have El Nexo, aka Team Liquid, ready to go. We got SK Gaming, we got Dignitas, and we got Team Tomorrow Big. Fnatic will be the 5th team to join those 4 monstrous names here in Heroes of the Storm. And this is kind of like their time to shine right here. Now on the flip side, of course, we got Yard and Gamers 2. I believe that's over on the Happy Zerg stream right now in Russian. So one of those 2 teams will be the 6th team to enter in, and then of course we will still have our best of 3 to duke everything out. But there it is. Match is going to be starting. We're going to the Cursed Hollow. Fnatic and LDLC. Fnatic is up 1-0 currently. And, I mean, they looked on fire for game number 1. Let's see if they can bring it home. Game number 2 and close out the series. Come on, load bar. You can do it. There we go. It's on its way. All right, all the stuff is good, and we're off to the races. So once more here, the boys in blue. It's going to be Lowell there into the top lane. Looks like Ace of Spades is going to be making his way there, at least initially. Shinobu once more on those Vikings. We got Kessel on Erdana, and Freds. Freds, where's the Master Skin Battle Cow? You disappoint me, Fred. The battle begins. Either way, on the flip side, LDLC down 1-0 right now. It is going to be Nara to Darka.
5.
Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden, wow. I am Morden, Killer Chino, and Politar. And they don't really seem to know where they want to go. Might actually be a little bit of a collapse. Try to find somebody transitioning. Just try to get an early kill if they can find a Viking, for example. Unfortunately, they're not going to find anybody, as it seems. Now, we do got Freds into the bottom lane. Looks like Tadarka is going to be his opponent. And that means that we're going to have the party all the way into the top. Lowell there once more with... doesn't actually know what he wants for level 1. Is it going to be the Demolitionists? Will it be the Reconstitution? Will it be Corpse Feeders? It will be the Reconstitution. We have been seeing a lot of Reconstitution on Zagara plays, especially in solo lanes. But right now... yeah, it will be the Reconstitution. So other than that, we got Viking Horde block, the Healing Ward, and chill. I want to say that I like to call the bottom lane fights the wet noodle fights, but right now Tadarka is currently winning a little bit, and that leaves us with the Vikings there into the mid. And Nara is not exactly the best up against multiple sources of attacks, which is the Shinobu. We've seen this actually time and again, where the Vikings can deal very well with the Illidan. But Zagara, okay, she's just gonna start setting up some mobile wards there into the middle lane, so no problem. No problem. She's going to come back up. In terms of the push, I mean, this is a bad lane for the Zagara because of that Tassadar. The Tassadar in there means that he can keep oracling. He can always be throwing down those storm shields, the Psy Storms. And that's why we don't really have any creep. Maybe that's why Zagara is now trying to set up the creep highway between lanes just to catch them on rotations, because in a little under a minute, we're going to have those first tributes now spawning. This is also about the timer that you normally see Ace of Spades or Rhaegar's Illidan's go for some Mercs. Well, actually, you won't see the Illidan go for him until level 4, but he's also currently soloing the lane, so you're not going to see him do it at all. But there's the 2-minute mark, and Ace, he's going to dutifully go and grab those easies. If the Stone Bros into the top lane go uncontested, they will definitely grab a tower for the team, and that will put them in a very nice experience spot for the tribute fight. It's all about the race to 10 a little bit earlier on. So we'll have to see who makes it there. The wet noodles are currently still being wet in the bottom, and nothing really super interesting going on in a lot of these lanes. Ace is about to finish up here, and then very likely he will be heading on back. Hopefully he doesn't die. No, he won't. He's just going to use that healing ward, and there we go. He's going to back, and it will be the bottom lane tribute. So the bottom lane tribute means we're very likely... I want to say LDLC is not going to send everyone. They're going to leave somebody up here to deal with Lowell, and they have to because, again, we got those Stone Bros now coming out into the top. So you cannot let those go unimpeded this earlier on, because if you lose at that tower, yeah, you're probably going to lose the race to 10. Eric! Shinobu! Okay. Nara getting a very sneaky tribute. Shinobu not really caught... okay, Shinobu was caught unprepared for that one. Sneaky though. Nara, really good stuff out of there. Polatar is actually now roamed into the mid because now, we are going to have that Illidan off roaming himself. Gets the immolation in. Between immolation, the auto attacks, the heals, and the evasion, yeah, Illidan is an absolutely great jungling beast. And once more with this Zagara up top, I mean, the Psy Storms have just been taking all the creep down. Poor Lowell. He just wants to have a Zergified lane, guys. But, Protoss versus Zerg is an age-old combat right there. And, yeah, Protoss just saying not having any of it. Ace of Spades and Kessel, they're not in those lanes. In fact, it's actually relatively few people in lane right now. Illidan very likely to go up into these bruisers, I want to say. But maybe after this next tribute. Tribute into the top means that Morden and Killer Tina are going to be there. Kessel is going to be able to harass a little bit. Doesn't have extended range, but doesn't really need it. Level 7 for both sides, though. Could be actually a little bit more of a fight. The Vikings have spread. Look at the soak. 1 and 2 and 3. So it is going to be the 4-man up against, unfortunately, the 5. Polatar is not really out of this one, but he's actually split from his team here as well. So we're going to try to poke and soak a bit. If Fnatic can continue this trend of poking and soaking, and I'm not entirely too sure they have anything to stop Nara. No, they don't. Nara is just way too far in the back. Then they will for sure get that experience lead. But this is a little worrisome for their early game. 2 tributes now into the pocket of LDLC. And Shinobu not paying attention to it. Goodbye, Shinobu. That's going to be, believe it or not, first blood. And it is on a Viking. Lowell's there to pick up the experience, so we will maintain about that half-level lead between the teams. But as I said, it's a little bit more of a race to 10. If you can get 10 by the 3rd tribute, and you can hold that over your opponents, you're going to be in a very good spot in order to grab an early curse, perhaps even an early team fight because of that extra amount of abilities that you have to use. I mean, the level 4 tier talents are amazing. If you have them, your opponents don't, you have a significant power spike, a significant advantage. So now Nara's going to be doing out those bruisers. It's not going to be the boss, but the boss is actually going to go down here for Fnatic, or at least they're trying. Level 9 to 8, and the 4th tribute is into the bottom here. That's not even the 4th. What am I talking about? The 3rd tribute into the bottom. Ace of Spades is doing his best to try to zone out Siddhartha, but I don't really think they have anything to stop this now. They don't have the positioning. They're up on those bruisers. The bruisers will now be pushing down the mid, just like the boss will be pushing bottom. But who's actually going to get the tribute? It looks like LDLC is okay with just letting Fnatic have it, as Shinobu is going to be the big gank there. He's probably dealing with the Olaf mid because they did just gank it. But Fnatic is still miles ahead in terms of the experience. Good half level there, and they get that 10. Fortunately, there's not really much they can do with it, because the time a fight occurs, we will have 10 there for LDLC as well. So Fnatic is saying, all right, there's not going to be a tribute for another few seconds. Shinobu soaking top, Shinobu soaking mid, Shinobu to be soaking bottom. And that means that we're not going to have them collapsing for a Viking boat. That's rather interesting. We do got the Clairvoyants. They're from level 7. And they do actually notice them. They catch Baylog on the rotation. And that will not be the boss for Fnatic. A little bit of a wasted effort right there. There's no Vikings up here. There's no boat, level 10. And look at this. The Divine Shield. It's a Divine Shield Illidan strat and the Gargantuan. No Ravenous here, boys. No Ravenous here. So Gargantuan in fights is, I don't know, he's a bit more of an annoyance. Maybe we'll see it right here, but Nara, he gets caught out a little bit down to the half hit point. He does use the Metamorphosis, hit, I think, 3 teammates there. Got all that experience. Oh my god, the maw! The 4-man maw! It's not gonna be a stage dive, but the power slide, 1, 2, and 3, down like bowling pins. It's a split, ladies and gentlemen, right there. MVP to LoL. Right there, hands down. We didn't use the boat. We still have Ancestral. We got the stage dive in the bank. Nobody even went down here except perhaps Baylog earlier on from Fnatic. What a catch, what a rotation. And just like that, Fnatic get themselves the boss and the second tribute, the 4th tribute. And where's the next one? That would have been a heck of a wombo. They're able to get not only boss, the kills, and the tribute, but wow. Fnatic, super on point today. They have come to win, and now with this boss pushing down the top, and them pushing with it, this could very easily be a 4th. We got Shinobu soaking mid. They will maintain this experience lead. Shinobu soaking bottom. In fact, it looks like Shinobu's even going to go hard on top of Politar here in the mid. But Nazeebo's going to actually be the catch into the top lane. And it looks like Fred's actually had to dive for it. Yeah, he died up into the top. So he got zoned out. Oh, Fred stage dive for it as well. Very interesting. Shinobu up against Politar, I guess, is really not that interesting. By the end of it all, Shinobu just could not deal. But now the it's not even a Raven, it's just the Nazeebo and the Gargantuan are not going to be part of this fight. And this is almost guaranteed to be a curse for Fnatic. 1 and 2, and yeah, Ace of Spades is in the clear. There's nobody around to contest whatsoever. Here comes the curse. We got the split Vikings. It's actually going to be now Tadarka defending out the bottom lane, but Politar already with that Divine? What? That is, I don't know what just happened there. Apparently I cannot just believe my vision on Politar at all, but he just used out the Divine. So, you know, in this next team fight, not that Illidan is anywhere near Illidan getting out those easies, but Tadarka's not here, Nara's not there, and in this next fight, Nara's not going to have that invulnerability ready to go for that Illidan sweetness. So, down goes the mid fort. We got Shinobu again pushing out the top. That could actually be that entire gate if it goes unanswered, but we do got now Nara. He's going to try to chase down the Olaf, and I think he will. Yeah, I'm not entirely too sure there's too much Shinobu can do after this one, but Nara and the hook is very likely enough to take down the Olaf, and yeah, he knows it. Either way, I mean, that's the attention span of LDLC into the top area. You can see Fnatic going across the map. They're painting it blue. There goes the Bruisers, the Stone Bros to follow, or they're going to wait out for the time. Maybe they're trying to time it with the creep wave. That's the only thing that comes to mind. And, you know, not exactly the most impactful of curses. They only got a fort. They perhaps, yeah, they got the top gate, and then actually just the gate. But bottom is going to be a big target because it's really the only one left up. And we also have a boss coming up in 10 seconds. Yeah, so they're just waiting for a creep wave. Absolutely. I mean, they got a stage dive. We don't need to show that hand very early. And oh, this could be a catch on top of Morden, but no, it is a Tassadar. It's really hard to get a big catch on Tassadar. Everybody is grouping up. It is to that stage of the game where you have to group up any kind of solo antics, and you could really put yourself in a bad situation team-wise because of some really, really long death timers. So pushing into the mid, it's going to actually force Fnatic from that boss. They're going to say it's not the time to do it. Fnatic really looking for that level 16 advantage. If they can get 16 over their opponents, and they're about to, that's an extra talent tier advantage over their over those opponents. And wow, I'm actually just looking now. The Shrink Ray from the Uther instead of Sprint, but he doesn't have the Storm, so that's actually reasonably okay. And Distortion Beam from our Tassadar. I mean, I saw the Cyan Fusion at the level 1, the 7 mana per. But then you also get the Static Charge. The Distortion Beam is likely going to be landing us into Second Strike. So it's a very offensive kind of Tassadar, and I guess we need that damage output right now. We don't have the Rapidus. So this is going to be the Gargantuan. Let's see if the Gargantuan can do it here. Another great Maw into the back, keeping 2 of LDLC at bay. Nara there gets that shield. We also got the Metamorphosis. The boat goes up, and the boat is actually going to live and almost get off this entire duration. There it goes. It's finally going to go down. Nara's hit points have been just up and down, but it looks like he will live. And in fact, everybody will live. The teams literally bounce off each other. We still got a stage dive if we want this reinitiation, but all the heroics down for everybody else. And Freds is going for it. He's finding Killer Chino. That is going to be it for the Witch Doctor. He does not have anything left in the bank to get out of that, and finally we will have a kill on the back of all that. Spades into the bottom is actually just stopping out any kind of retreat from Siddharka and Morden, but it looks like they're going to be okay with just that because the tribute's up, and with that kill on the Zebo, they're going to go over the boss as well. Level 16 achieved, and those talents are massive. I mean, the imposing presence up against the Illidan, up against the Nazebo, up against the Tassadar. Massive attack speed reduction. We got the shields there with the Norse Force. There's the tribute. The Blood for Blood from our Rhaegar. So Blood for Blood with the healing surge. I mean, not only are we healing a heck of a lot with this Rhaegar, now he can even help out with the burst, trying to burst down that Illidan as quick as they can with that 15%. It's a little bit of health regen for himself as well. He can definitely afford himself a little bit more. Freds, how did Freds get up here? But he did it. The Maw goes down. It's sweeping 3 of LDLC from this point. Freds gets it. He got into the back. They got the Uther. They steal out the boss from LDLC. There goes Nara as well. The Viking boat doing big damage here on top of Killer Chino when it can. And Freds, he's going to go for the block. He's going to go for the block on top of the Witch Doctor. Does he have the power slide? Does he have the face? He's really actually taking his time on it, but he gets into it. Here comes the rest of the team. Shinobi a little bit low on the hit points, but the Nazebo is down. Siddharka's got to run. Morden is there, but I mean, what can this Tassadar do? They can kill out Eric, but I think that's going to be the extent of their powers. This Golem is just going to take LDLC right to the core. Will break the core? Something tells me no. But it will get through there. They are going to now rotate into the Bruisers. And of course, we do got this second tribute now here, also going into the pocket of Fnatic. They are absolutely killing it this game. 8 to 1.25 kills. Very reminiscent of what we just saw on Sky Temple. And yeah, the boss can't even break that shield. It's just not late enough in the game. 14-minute boss, not the hardest hitting one ever. But once more, we are resuming the map pressure. Mercs, it's keeping LDLC busy. They did get their 16s. You see the Blood for Blood. Here's the new Benediction talent from the Uther as well. Second strike as predicted. Pulverize for the slam cooldown and slow. So you can't actually stun slam Stitches anymore. Don't know if you guys saw those patch notes. I suspect you did, because you wouldn't be watching otherwise. But yeah, it's no longer stun slam, it's slow slam. Just like what happened with Earth's Root for Ace of Spades, just like what happened with Pressure Point from Chen. We have now done as well to pulverize. Leaping Spiders. This is a build that has come through this meta. Spider Cluster creates 3 more spiders, and then Leaping Spiders, well, they leap to your target. Plus Leaping Spiders. And they do a heck of a lot of damage. The problem is that, you're giving up the Gathering Power, you're giving up the Specialized Toxin. Toxin did get nerfed pretty heavily last round, so That's okay. But also you got this Gargantuan in here. So Leaping Spiders, Gargantuan, the toads. You can see them actually leaping around down here. It's really fun. I don't know. I'm still on the fence about the build in general. Shinobu comes down out of nowhere to darken down to half-life. We still got the Ancestral now in the bank. Shinobu needs to use the boat. He uses the Norse Force instead. Here comes the Gargantuan, the hook there on top of Lowell, but once more the Maw doesn't hit anything this time, but Lowell gets the Ancestral. Nara into the back, looking for the kill on top of the Zagari. Here comes the Metamorphosis. Huge hit point gain right there for the Nara, but they can't kill Lowell. Finally, they get it. But Illidan is going to be paying the price. Fred goes in, Fred goes up and down and all around. Killer Chino is going to drop, and now Politar and Morden not looking so healthy on the back end of this. There goes the Tatstar. We're looking for the 4th kill on Politar. Shinobu can chase him. Can Politar actually outrun the Vikings? Well, he might be able to, but the team gets cursed, and we got a heck of a push now coming in to this mid. Shinobu in the front there with the body blocks. There goes the Uther, and it's a 4-man wipe just for the Sagara. This is game. The core can fight back, nothing else will. The keep is going to go down. We got the Stone Bros in the top, and with 4 very healthy Team Fnatic members here, they are going to go 2-0 against LDLC here in the Alienware Enter the Storm Cup number 1, Qualifier number 3. They 2-0. They deserve it. That was a heck of a game.